everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Today, Eric and I are going to tell you how we felt about John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, a movie that Eric kind of wanted one of those titles or the other title. I don't think you wanted both of those
I wanted
titles.
John Wick Parabellum because the director says in the commentary for the second film that he wants every film title to be different.
That sounds like the studio fought him on it,
But
maybe?
this is still different because it has a subtitle.
Right.
I want the next one to not be Chapter 4. I want it to either be John Wick 4 or John Wick subtitle. Like, I love the idea of every film being different.
That is pretty funny.
But, yeah.
Because if the first film, you know, retroactively, if we knew that that movie was going to be successful and we knew that it was going to be a multi-part franchise, then you wanted to be like Kill Bill, where the first movie has the chapter in the first movie. Because, I don't know, I've said this before, but John Wick as a franchise is so fascinating to me on a lot of levels. But the biggest one is that first movie felt like a one-and-done standalone thing to me in the theater. It didn't feel as heightened as the universe ultimately ends up being. I didn't think about it like a comic book. And weirdly, retroactively, again, with each subsequent sequel, we've drawn the curtain back, and we've grown this world, and we've been building it, and it feels more and more heightened all the time. But it doesn't feel retconny. It feels like we've just been pulling the curtain back and showing you more.
It feels like and there's more of the world, and there's more of the world. I was talking to some people at work today, and I was saying John Wick to me feels like the best anime movies we've ever gotten. Like, this tends to be how specifically shonen animes, like, they just keep and there's this to the world, and there's this to the world, and like, it feels like that, and I'm like, this is the best anime storytelling in live action I've ever seen.
They could potentially introduce space travel, and I might not be that surprised by it. I don't think they would do that, but I'm just saying, like, they can convince me of stuff that other franchises would just not be smart enough to be able to convince you of. And I think that is just so impressive.
The world building
wonderful.
Is perfect.
Yeah. And I think that continues to hold. Like, now, with 3 of them, and minor spoiler, but nobody will be surprised by this if you've not seen it. Let's just throw us on. I don't think anybody will be surprised by this, even if you haven't seen it yet. The end of this movie is, of course, setting up what the next chapter would be.
I love that every single one ends on a completely different status quo.
Yeah,
so that each film feels like a standalone piece.
Yeah.
But it still has a cliffhanger ending. But it doesn't feel like that thing that I hate where it's the first movie is one story and then the second and third movie are one story, and like
it doesn't have that Matrix problem.
Yeah. Well, most trilogies do that. Back to the Future did that. Pirates of the Caribbean did that. Even to a lesser degree.
But Matrix, I mentioned partly, obviously, because of Keanu Reeves, and partly because that was the first time I experienced it in the theater.
Well,
where I was like, "Oh, this is why these are coming out 6 months apart." Or
well, and also the director for these films was Keanu Reeves' stuntman on the Matrix films.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to drive this point home that I didn't want more of these movies. When I got to the end of the first movie, I didn't like that he lived. I thought all roads were leading to him dying at the end of that first movie, and it didn't. It was weird to me that you would sequel bait it like that. And since then, it has felt like chapters of a novel, or like you more, I think, accurately put it the other day,
an ongoing comic.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it really feels like comic book storytelling put on screen. In a very different way than I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
It feels like a run.
And I have praised the MCU movies for doing some of that, for bringing some of that serialized comic book storytelling to screen. And they have in the sense that...
But it's a cross-franchise. It's the shared universe thing. This feels like a comic book run. None of the Marvel film series feel like that.
No, we haven't quite gotten
like
there.
Iron Man in Iron Man 2 isn't like one story... and then you have to go to Avengers before you can go to Iron Man 3. Like, it's bringing that level of comic booking, but like this, just like each one feels like an arc, and they feel like their own standalone story, but they're part of a greater narrative. Like, I guess closer to kind of how Image Comics does stuff now.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, it's
or
really
even say like the Earth 1 books.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where I say that just because those are graphic novels and they weren't put out serialized in the first place. This is kind of like that in that each one is its own story, but it's building on what came before it, and there is an overarching story that goes through all of it. I would almost make the argument that, I'm not suggesting people really do this, I think you almost could walk into this.
I think so too.
Having not seen the other films.
I think so too.
Like, having seen them, I would want that knowledge, but did you notice this? The beginning of the movie felt the need to do a tiny bit of recapping.
I did. I did.
And I didn't think that it was intrusive or anything, but there's that conversation with the guy who runs the hotel, who goes the Continental, and he's walking down the hall with what the bell guy, the black guy, I can't remember who he's talking to. But he's like. But he's like, well, John Wick still has less than an hour now, and he just killed someone in this hotel.
Well, we didn't recap as much as you would think. Like we recap enough so you know what the setup is.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like we go. It's like, and John didn't want to kill this guy. He forced his hand, and he had to do it on Continental grounds. Like that guy isn't even really mentioned, other than the fact that John killed him on Continental
and we
grounds.
see his body, but that's it.
Yeah. But no. Well,
for the sake of this story, how important is that situation?
It's not.
I don't think it is, which is kind of impressive. Because I didn't get a chance to see it again. I only saw it once in the theater when it came out 2 years ago. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be lost. And I wasn't. Everything that was important came back to me. But I really do kind of think that somebody could just walk into this movie.
I also
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And the other thing that makes it feel like modern comic books, like it's in arcs, is that each film starts like
Terminator 2.
10 seconds after the next
It's like
one.
Terminator 2.
What do you mean?
And anybody could walk in that movie.
Oh, yeah. But like each one starts like 10 seconds after the previous movie, which also makes it feel more like comic book, like ongoing comic book narrative, without like time jumping.
I also think that makes these maybe less bingeable than they would be otherwise, because you have that, like...
I think it makes them more bingeable.
But you have that... Okay, but in an amusing way, because you have that Jack Bauer 24 problem of, well, there's no way this guy can go through all of this and, like, without having a sandwich.
Time stuff in
or
this.
A little bit, but like, all of the action that happens right at the beginning, he's running on adrenaline.
They make a joke about that in that movie.
Yeah, they do.
In 3, right? They say something about, like, it's been a really eventful week for you, or something like that.
And again, it is a really heightened world, and so you buy it more, but, like, it's one of those things where if you're reading this in a comic book, you wouldn't think about it, but watching a guy do it, you're like, well, I know Keanu Reeves has had a good night's sleep, and he ate some pizza today.
I don't know, by the end of this movie, he seems like he's lived through the 2 previous movies and everything in this movie up to... Like, he looks withered, and, like, he...
I guess it's important that he's the best he is at what he does.
Yeah.
And what he does is not very nice.
Yeah. No, he's great at what he does. But we'll never see him do it. Well, I mean, I guess the killing bit, but, like, I don't think we ever get to gun for hire John Wick after this movie.
You don't think we'll ever get there?
Not after this
I think especially after this, I don't know how you would.
But the other thing that this does is, that's really impressive, is that... One, this gives me the thing that I don't get enough in movies, especially in, like, comic book movies. I had this with the second one, I had this with this one, where, like, every, like, 15, 20 minutes, I was like, I have no idea how this story can keep going. But I also had that at the end of 2, where I'm like, okay, so like, he's on the run, then he's reinstated, like, where you possibly go from that? And now at the end of this movie, with this status quo, I'm like, okay, so you make the next movie, where could you possibly go from that?
And how easy would it have been for this movie to just kind of stall out?
Yeah.
And just sit there the whole time? There are like revelations and setups by the middle of this where it's not just him on the run. Like, it is that, and he is a fugitive till the very end.
It's all driven by that. But it's so.
But it's not just a guy on the run movie. It's not The Fugitive. Like,
yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Why don't you throw out a best thing, worst thing?
Well, before I get to my best thing,
absolutely.
I'll tell you the thing that I keep telling people.
Because I'm curious, because I could tell how much you were enjoying it while we were watching it, and of course I was too, and I'm curious to see what your worst thing will be. I'm curious to see if you will have an overarching thing, or if you'll have to go to nitpick territory, because you liked it so much.
But before I get to my best thing, I want to say the thing that I keep telling people. First of all, this movie cost $55 million.
Isn't that
They will get to keep making these forever.
Yeah.
Even if this movie only makes like $100 million. Well, it'd have to make more than 100, but even if this only makes like $200 million.
And it'll do that.
Yeah.
That's so smart. And you'd think after it got popular, the studio would throw too much money at it.
Or they'd ask for too much money.
That's what ruins movies.
But what I think really helps is that it's run by a stunt guy that knows how to do all this. He knows how to make it work.
And Keanu Reeves is not greedy.
No.
He's not going to go, well, these are going so well, so
no, because he clearly loves making
now I need, like, Robert Downey numbers and stuff.
But
that's not me taking pot shots at Downey. I'm just saying, he's not looking for that.
Robert Downey Jr. got paid more for Endgame than this entire movie cost.
By quite a bit.
Yeah, by $20 million. No,
Nuts.
this is the reason I go see movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bunch of CGI like garbage, right? Where like nothing's happening, right? Like nothing's really happening. None of these actors are actually doing anything. This is stunts and choreography and locations shooting and sets, amazing sets. This movie is the movie you should see on the big screen because you're seeing things that are really happening, like being done to perfection. Like the choreography in this movie is insane.
It's insane.
And like you should see this movie on the. This is the kind of movie that you should see on the big screen.
And nothing you're seeing enormous would be helped by a smaller screen, like a lot of CG movies, because
you don't notice as much. It hides imperfections.
Exactly, because you think about big blockbusters, and you go, well, everything that's like a huge summer blockbuster needs to be seen on a big screen because it's such a big spectacle. But when the CG is not well integrated, it's going to look better on a smaller screen.
Yeah, this movie's going to look good at any.
And everything is a real performance.
I would love to see this in IMAX.
I did.
Oh, you went and saw it in IMAX.
Saw it today in IMAX.
I bet it looks amazing in IMAX.
It does.
No,
great.
but this is as far as like the action genre goes. This is why I go to the movies. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of movie that you should make a priority to see in theaters because you are seeing something really special and really cool really being done. You can tell how much everything is practical.
That precise review for the other two.
I can. I could.
And but I'm not dogging you for saying that. I'm saying that it's important to
this
know
franchise
that you and I are going to say many of the same things we've said about the other films. Because, can I just throw out my best thing right now?
Sure.
Consistency.
Oh, yeah. It's very hard for me to not have the same best thing that I had last time, so I'm not going to.
It's amazing because I don't feel like I just got the same thing again.
No,
but the quality is up to snuff. The timing of the choreography and the cleverness of a lot of the action is all up to snuff. And I think on an action level, this is the best one they've made. I think they've topped themselves every time.
I think so too.
As far as that goes.
But not in a way where I'm like, well, they'll never be able to do this again. Like, I legitimately believe that John Wick 4 will have better action than John Wick 3.
I think so too.
It feels like it's a case of just like looking at what they've done, just because I don't know if it's actually like better as much as they're just really smart about like we're not going to do that kind of fight again. We just keep doing different. Every fight in this is different.
Some stuff in this was more intricate than they've ever done.
I mean, that dog stuff was really impressive.
There's that. That's true. There's that. I don't want to give too much away. There's that fight at the beginning with a bunch of knives.
That is
nuts.
The book stuff was nuts too.
So the book stuff is and can I also say I cringed a lot.
This has
the thing you can't deal with.
It has the two things I can't deal with.
Yep.
I turned away from the screen twice.
There's an eye thing.
And there's fingernails coming off.
Oh, I forgot about that too. Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah, that was
I actually didn't notice that until a second viewing, and I was like, oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
That was gross, and that wasn't even in a fight.
Yeah.
Or am I talking about the ballerinas? Yeah.
Well, it's not fingernails toenail, but it's
God. That was awful. The eyeball.
Did you know
thing,
Angelica Houston was in this movie, by the way?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
The eyeball thing is nuts because it subverts your expectations because you think it's going to cut and doesn't cut. Mm-hmm. It just keeps going and going, and I'm like, they're not gonna. Oh, they did.
Well, you already said your best thing. So what's your worst thing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to startle. I just once we got there, I was like, let me go ahead and say that. Yeah. Consistency. Yeah. My worst thing is I mean, it's so good. There's very. I initially had a worst thing, and then I got to the end of the movie, and it turned out that I got duped by something.
Yeah.
I thought they did something that was going to upset me.
My worst thing is that there wasn't more. By the way, they've already confirmed 4.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
Before I do that, can I say something I meant to say a minute ago? Mm-hmm. I just thought of this week because you were talking about how I said the action was topped, and you said yeah, but I don't feel like they can't top it again. Mm-hmm. I think these guys could do this on a weekly television basis and keep topping themselves. It's like TV in the best way possible. It's not like TV. Mm. It's a wonderful spectacle on the big screen, but like they're ambitious, but they're not so ambitious that like it's not about being bigger every time. That's not what it's about.
It's also doesn't have a formula. Each film is a completely different kind of story.
It is,
and I love that so much.
And I wasn't like taking notes and seeing bullet points of like, okay, this is where this happens in the story, and like there is like a motorcycle chase. It doesn't feel like this is where the car chase is supposed to happen in your movie. Like, it feels like a really natural place for that to happen. And it's the second chase of the movie. The first one's real early.
It does. It feels like they have, in a good way, they have the pacing of action scenes throughout a film like down to a science.
Yeah.
Like, because we open and it's like 15 minutes of action scenes, and then we have a lot of talking, and it's and then we have another action scene, and like it's just it's like a perfect rhythm.
So let me say, I agree with you. This is going to be my worst thing, though.
Okay.
I agree with you that the pacing of when the action scenes happen versus like the dialogue progressing, the story scenes. That's not to say that we're not progressing story and action scenes, but I do. There are a couple where I tuned out a little bit. There are a couple that go on a little too long. That is my worst thing.
Okay.
Some of the action I kind of lost myself in it a little bit.
Okay.
Where I was like, I don't even want to say it felt obligatory. It was just too long. It was just like and like this is a really action-y movie and an action-driven movie, and so we've got to see, like, how many times do I have to see John Wick like shoot a guy or hit a guy? It's over and over and over and over again.
There's one where
I'm excited when it's super clever, but there are places where it does feel like kind of standard, like really super well shot, but he's not going to be able to blow my mind every time he hits a person either, so...
there's one that circles around for me, where I was like, yeah, I don't know, like, this one doesn't feel like it really needs to be here, like, it's just, and then, like, it's the one with the dogs.
Yeah.
Where, like, when that starts, I'm like, okay, so it's just them, like, shooting a bunch of people, and then we start doing this dog stuff, and I'm like, that's cool, I've never seen that. Even the one that, like,
that is one that went on a little too long for me, but
it circled back around for me, where I was like, this is awesome.
But the way it resolves is awesome.
Yeah. And then, like, anytime I would think I wouldn't necessarily like an action scene, they always do something that, like, subverts me, where, like, John Wick going out and shooting all those, like, guys in body armor near the end. My immediate instinct is like, okay, well, it's like John Wick killing a bunch of guys. But then they, like, up it where it's like, well, you have to use this different kind of gun. And so, like, now I'm seeing something different, and, like, he's using a completely different gun, and, like, I feel like every action scene is so different.
Another thing that's really nice about the action scenes in these movies, and especially this one, is we give personality, not always, but very often, to just the random guys in the fights.
Yes.
The random guys that are being shot and punched and mutilated. Toward the end, there's a couple guys that he fights that are big John Wick fans, and that's like a motif through this, is people who are like honored to get to fight him, or like were inspired by him, and now they have to kill him. I didn't think of that last movie. I'm so glad they went that way. It makes so much sense. Like, he's the guru. He's the legend. And everybody that's fighting him would have been inspired by him.
Well, and the other thing that they do that's really good, that feels like archy comic book storytelling, is we keep leaving things that we can come back to if we want to. Like that guy in the second movie who he leaves that knife in, where I assumed he would be in the third movie. He's not. I legitimately believe he will come back.
Well, and even setups for things that it would be really weird if they didn't bring back, like the Halle Berry thing. Like, she has to come back because of the way that resolves. I'm trying not to give too much stuff away, but there's a whole thing with that where we literally put a pin in that. Like, she will be back.
So I'm not gonna say that once again my best thing is oh, I lost his name. The Continental owner, because that was my best thing of two. I'm not going to say that again.
He continues
to kill it.
Yeah.
He continues to be great. Ian McShane.
McShane, yeah.
The villain of Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
But I'll say my best thing is, God, my mind just went completely blank. Like, I had a best thing. Like, the Heavy, the final fight bad guy. I love him.
He's amazing.
He's and I've seen him in other things. He's in a film called Crying Freeman. He was the host of Iron Chef for years.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Now I want to go back and see some of that. That's interesting.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I didn't see Cradle to the Grave, which stars DMX and Jet Li, but he's the villain of that movie.
This guy very clearly should get to be a leading man in something, because he pulls off something that is very, very rare, which is he is super intimidating and comic relief simultaneously, and it's really impressive.
He has been the leading man.
Yeah?
He is the main character in the television show The Crow, Stairway to Heaven.
I have to watch that! I mean, I probably shouldn't. It's probably terrible.
But you have to own it.
Yeah, that's true. I do have to own it.
I
didn't know that.
Years and years and years and years and years ago,
You didn't hate
I
it?
watched the pilot, and I remembered it being all right. But, so, he's my best thing. His final, line...
It's awesome.
Spoiler warning, he dies. His final line of, that was a pretty good fight, right, John?
Yeah,
I loved that. I laughed so hard.
I honestly think the sofa thing is almost funnier, though.
No, the sofa thing is great.
But what's again? I picked up on this more in a second viewing. He's supposed to be a foil for John. The whole idea is that we're paralleling him where he's kind of like the new John Wick, but still can't hold a candle to him. Never quite rises to that. But or at least never rises to that in that people don't know him like that. Oh, the Iron Chef thing must be why he runs a restaurant.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
But I think that was really cool. He runs a Japanese, an outdoor Japanese steakhouse place.
Also, the disappearing thing is the best Batman thing
I don't believe
I've
it
ever
at all,
seen in a
but
movie.
it works in the context of this.
And you should be able to do that in a Batman movie.
You should, yeah.
Batman should be able to do that. I will also give an honorable...
I buy it more than what Phantasm does.
I also want to give an honorable mention, best thing, because this isn't my best thing, but it needs to be said. This is the best Halle Berry has ever been in anything ever. I have never seen her in a single thing, good or bad, where she doesn't give at least a couple of line readings that makes me grind my teeth. I have always thought she's just a terrible actress, period.
I kind of bought her okay in this world.
I forgot she was Halle Berry.
Did you?
Even in Kingsman, she's got a couple of line deliveries where I'm like, you're just bad at your job, and you really shouldn't be doing this. I don't know what happened between Kingsman 2 and this, but
and it's not just
I liked her quite a bit.
Yeah, it's not just that she gets to be over the top, because she's been in a lot of over the top movies and kind of couldn't pull it off. Very often
she just needs the right director or what.
I think it helps that she plays a real I don't know if I want to say tragic kind of role, but she plays a role where she has to act. Whiny is not the right word, but you know what I mean. Where it fits well for the kind of performance she tends to get.
I believe the emotion that she's giving,
and
I've never believed in the emotion she's ever given.
I really don't even mean that as a backhanded compliment. I liked her okay. I didn't think she was brilliant or nothing, but
for Halle Berry, I thought she was brilliant.
Okay.
And that's a really low bar. But the fact that there isn't a single line delivery where I was like, "Eee," that's a huge compliment from me to Halle Berry. I've never seen her dynamic
with the dogs and all of that.
I did too. And she's not choreography with her and the dogs. There's a point where a dog jumps up on her and runs up a wall, and I thought it was the coolest thing.
That was awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they give her good stuff to do. She's a good character.
This is the kind of movie I miss.
Yeah.
It's fun without being funny, but doesn't not have humor. It's not like Bleak. It's just genuinely a fun, good time. That's as serious as it needs to be, and as fun as it needs to be, and as funny as it needs to be, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, because there's a lot of really silly stuff in these movies, and it's just, you're along for the ride. It's what movies are supposed to. Movies like this are supposed to be.
I saw it with a bigger audience today.
Yeah.
And
we saw it with 4 people.
I saw it with 12.
And 2 of them left halfway through.
Yeah,
we went to a really late show.
I saw it with a larger audience. It was 12 or 14 in the IMAX theater, and
or did it just seem like that because the screen was so big?
No, it was fewer people. Because I saw the roster of how many seats were bought. But anyway, my crowd, my group of people, were during a lot of the action scenes were laughing at things that were cringeworthy, and they were laughing to get them through the scene. And that's what all of these have done, but this one especially, I think these movies, and again, especially this one, have just a wonderful, almost comedic sense of timing with the action.
I do too. And when, because this goes back to really good, specifically 80s, horror movies, like, where they're doing real gross stuff, but you always know that there's a sense of fun to it. Everyone making this movie is having fun.
There's nothing cynical about this.
No, it's just, and there's nothing realistic about it. Like, this is not a, like, isn't violence cool? It's like, look how awesome this is. It's not real. Like, it's really cool.
But at the same time, the story gets to be about consequences for actions, and that's what the story is.
It's amazing what they're able to do with John Wick as monosyllabic as he is.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff that we're doing at the end with Ian McShane is just...
Because I want to say, this is a real story, and it's a good story. And
yeah.
Like, he has a very clear opportunity for change. There's this wonderful moment where he does the exact opposite of what I think he's going to do, and...
Yeah.
All roads were leading there.
My review of the first John Wick movie is a simple story told excellently. The stories have gotten more complex, I think.
It still feels simple, though.
Yeah, it's just, they're doing it great.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a super sophisticated character arc, but it's an incredibly well executed character arc.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
No, and I buy John every step of the way. Everything makes sense. Like, I think I understand this guy to a certain degree, but there's also like a wild card aspect where, like, sometimes
I feel to him also, and I feel for him, and I think it helps that this is such a, again, heightened reality where everybody, literally, and his dog is an assassin. Not everybody. We thought everybody was an assassin in the last movie, but it still kind of feels that way to a degree. And so all the important people are, or they work for
them. There was a whole secret world of assassons.
Yeah, it's
living
great.
Within our world.
Yeah, just underneath us. And literally under the table, right?
Yeah.
And
there's some fun wordplay with that too.
Oh, I know. It got real punny real quick, and I kept thinking of things that I thought maybe I'm glad they didn't keep doing that. But what I was gonna say is, John Wick is a sympathetic character relative to all of the people who murder people in this, right? Mm-hmm. There's a moment, there is a almost like X-Men First Class, we want the same thing, no we don't moment with the Asian bad guy, where he goes, John Wick, you and I are the same, and then we realize that the big thing that separates them is that John Wick has compassion
or that he's gotten it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I really love about this is
the idea that at one time he didn't have it. Wait, he had to get married before he did. Is that the idea?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But it's possible that he doesn't. That he meets this woman and she brings it out of him. But I love that his wife is still important, and I don't feel like it's tacked on. Like, hey, you remember in the first movie? Like, it is still an important part of this character.
Had flashbacks with her. I mean, did we in the first movie?
I think we have one or two in the first
movie.
Okay,
but like, we don't keep doing it.
No.
We don't have this actress that comes back every movie.
No.
It's not important.
She's not like there speaking to him.
I don't have to. Oh my god, how much would I hate that? I don't have to know what she looks like even. It's not important.
No, but she's important. For my worst thing.
Yeah.
This is a...
and fighting for the memory of love is not sappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That is what he's doing, and we come out and say it, and somehow I'm not going, ugh. Sorry.
So our worst thing, this is kind of nitpicky. Like, it's real hard for me to come up with a worst thing for this movie.
Because it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. But next time, we either need to kill his dog, or we need to find something to do with it. We have now had 2 films where immediately John has to get rid of his dog. We need to figure out something to do with that dog,
I don't think that's
or we
a problem.
need to... Okay.
And I'm suggesting that's not a problem because the dog
Unless
isn't
that's
an
the funny
action dog.
formula thing.
But it's not even that, it's that he's on the run. Like, at some point we might get to a status quo where he's able to be at home again. For any amount of time. It's not an action dog. It's not like Halle Berry's dogs. He wouldn't take it with him. It wouldn't make sense.
I know, but we need to figure out something to do with that dog. It's weird that every movie opens with him being like, all right, well, my dog's going to go over here. I get that makes sense in the story, but the dog is supposed to be important, and it's not. And I don't believe...
I still think the dog's important enough.
And I don't...
I mean, he's taking care of it. He's making sure that it's taken care of when he's not around.
I don't believe that the dog knows John is its owner.
Okay, that is a fair point, but the way you're talking about it is almost like the girlfriend in Back to the Future 2, and I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's like that.
I think it's a little bit like that.
Ooh, I don't think it's like that at all.
But like, that's a nitpick. Like, that's not like a real actual
Here's
problem.
the difference. If Back to the Future knew it was getting a sequel, they wouldn't have put Jennifer in the car. if John Wick knew it was getting a sequel, I think it ends the exact same way.
I don't know about that. I don't know if we give him a dog.
I think it ends the exact same way.
It makes sense for the story in the first movie that he gets another dog, but I don't know if we give him a dog if we know where we're going.
Okay. All right.
But again,
I understand why you're saying that.
This is a minor nitpick. Like,
right.
Like I have to scrape to find
it's
something.
Kind of hilarious.
Yeah. I have to scrape to find something wrong with this movie, or like to have a worse thing. My worst thing is just like, all right, figure out something to do with that dog. Like I don't know what, but like figure out like if next movie like there's like a raid and the dog comes out and he's got like shotguns, like every time he like moves they go off. Like fine, we finally figured out something to do with. But like I need this dog to do something in this movie.
Okay.
Maybe not this one, but like by the fourth one, I need something with that dog.
I think what we're doing with Fishburne is inspired.
I do too.
Partly because he's really funny, and I mean,
he's great.
He's essentially an uncaring mob boss who I'm finding really endearing for some reason.
Well, because
I don't know.
Fishburne.
Is it just because he's got birds? I don't know, but I love him, and he's crass and he's horrible, but I love him.
I love the bird internet thing.
Yes.
Where he says it, and you're right along with the person questioning, and we're like, how does that work? And then he explains how, and you're like, no, that makes perfect sense.
But here's what's weird about it, though. The person who says it is the adjudicator, who we should mention, by the way. She's amazing.
She's great. She's great.
But the adjudicator is the one who brings that up, and she works for a system that is off the grid.
So, but it doesn't seem to be off the internet grid, apparently. No, it can't be.
It is, though. It maybe has its own intranet, but it's not on the internet because they're using, like, 1980s, 1970s computers. And they've got a switchboard.
Yeah.
There's a reason they're doing all that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
She really can't put together what the pigeons are for when they've got a switchboard? I don't know about that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. No,
it was weird coming from her.
She's great. I loved how powerful she feels. And she is not an action character.
Not at all.
I love that we're able to do that in this universe.
She never fires a gun.
She never fires a gun. She doesn't throw a punch.
There's actually a couple moments where she could kill someone that she's against. And even like when she punishes people, she has other people do it. Mm-hmm. She's not the one that does. And I think she's terrifying.
I do too. I do too.
She's really scary. Every time she's on screen, she's got so much presence.
She's a tattoo, and I think it's a number. It's either like 19 or 18 or something like that.
No, it's a word.
Oh.
And it's something to do with judgment, or so I can't remember what exactly it is.
Oh, okay. I thought it said 19. I was like, so she numbered 19 of the.
Maybe there was also a number, but I'm pretty sure.
No, it's the prominent one on the neck. Okay. Well, and the title is Latin.
You're right. And it is one of those movies where we have to come right out and say the name of the movie in the dialogue, but like I don't know how else you would communicate what the title was because nobody knows what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the back half of a common phrase. Probably one of the better known Latin phrases, but it is the back half of it. I didn't put it together, and when I looked it up, all I could come up with is that it's the name of a certain kind of gun.
Oh, okay. So you needed the movie before you even understood what the
I also was. didn't know. It's also just such a classy title, which cannot be understated. This is a classy series of movies.
Dude, I know you're not a classical music guy. I mean, I'm not really either. But the Vivaldi at the end is it's awesome.
And that can't be understated either. Like I love the classiness of these movies.
Especially, and there's a nice juxtaposition with how violent it gets. Where it's easier for me to swallow the violence because of how classically they're shot.
They also
know
when and how to use profanity.
Yeah.
It's never, ever too much. It's not like Logan where it's like, you're just really excited you get to say the F word. Like, it's never too much.
Never thought you'd get Professor X to say this.
I also like that it's a series that doesn't...
I think Halle Berry has maybe one of the only F-bombs.
No, there's quite a few.
Are there?
No, there are.
Okay. Well, there's only one I can think of that stood
Lawrence
out.
Fishburne definitely
he
has
does.
some, and Ian McShane has some.
Yeah. No, that's true. She has a really significant one, though.
Is that the one that's followed by I Get It?
No, it's before that.
Okay.
But it's when she's talking about her past and the person that she wishes she could go out and find, and she tells John Wick that she's effed.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
We don't use that word too much, so it was biting in the scene.
I think it's always biting because we don't use that word too much. I think it's got it's got language perfectly balanced. Same thing with like sexuality. Like I would describe these movies as sexy, but not exploitive.
Not exploitative or gratuitous. Yeah.
Yeah. No. They're really sleek, sexy movies, and like all of the women are attractive. All the men are in very nice suits. Like they're very sexy movies, but they're not like B movies.
No.
It's all very classy. I love
and
that.
the genre mix is getting even more interesting because it is kind of a kung fu movie first. It's got spy thriller stuff. It is
it's a revenge movie.
It is a classic. Well, but what I was going to say is that's almost another genre even on top of it. It's the 80s revenge thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of Punisher sort of thing. But then also on top of it, there's more Western in this one than we've had.
Yes, there is.
And there's one scene in particular where I was like, did you guys bring in the director of Logan to shoot this one scene?
We're also doing some like Lawrence of Arabia, like epic stuff,
and
it
all fits.
It all fits. Oh, and it's this.
Would you call it almost genre bending at this point? Because I wouldn't have said that about the first John Wick.
Genre blending.
That's better, yeah.
Because it's not like we're taking one genre and taking it into something else. We're just taking everything. We're making it all work. Something that I cannot, especially in this movie, but the first movie has this too, the second movie has this too, is there's a thing that I thought we could never get back. And it's been a problem with the James Bond films, is that they don't really know how to do it. Which is, people used to, before the internet, people used to go to these movies and get to see exotic locations they'd never seen before. That was part of the appeal of the James Bond films. And James Bond's kind of gotten this weird route where like, well, where hasn't somebody shot much? And we'll go look at something that somebody hasn't seen much. Here, like in the second movie, we're taken to places I've seen before, but lit like I've never seen. Everything in this movie is gorgeous. I've never seen a desert look as good as it does in this movie, and it's just a desert.
You've seen the desert stuff. I mean, like, there's one shot where I'm like, he's just gonna walk up to the Cave of Wonders. Like, there's no way Aladdin does this.
Aladdin's desert will not look as good as this movie.
It won't. No, it's ridiculous.
And the sets won't look as amazing as that temple thing that he goes to.
The temple thing, but also the castle. Like, the Casablanca stuff, I've seen that in 100 movies. But like, the top of that castle, the way that's all shot, it's cool.
It's the first... These movies, this series of movies, is the first time in a long time, maybe since I was a kid, that I'm excited about scenery.
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a long time.
I can't say since I was a kid, but I mean, like, it doesn't happen all that often. The first thing that leaps to mind this isn't even recent memory, because I guess this was early 2000s. I guess this is like 03 or 04, but...
Which is when I was a kid.
Okay, that's fair. I'm sorry, I was graduating high school. The first thing that leaps to mind is 28 Days Later.
Sure.
So we have had some stuff like that.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying it never happens, but like, this is doing it consistently and multiple times in the same movie.
Did it well.
The is it Hong Kong? It's in China.
Yeah.
That stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah. And there are some places where we complain that it lingered on scenery too long, and this movie does not have that problem.
And Spectre does it poorly.
One of the things that's true. One of the things that is going to be most burned in my mind with this is just the transition in the desert from day to night. I don't know what it was about that, but it got me. It was just the blue. It just looked amazing.
Where the final fight is between Zero and John. So after last movie, where you do the most amazing mirror hall fight you could ever do.
This kind of also does mirror,
but it's not mirror.
But in a totally different.
Yeah, it is, and it's just as impressive, and it looks amazing.
I also thought it was impressive that we set up that scene earlier, and when we arrive to it again, it still feels like the first time you've seen it somehow.
Yeah, no, these movies are amazingly made. Like, this movie's awesome, and it's great, and everyone should go see it.
And I almost think it's a pointless exercise to say which of the three is the best of them. I feel like that's almost a pointless exercise.
I think this point, two is my favorite, but like, this is just as good.
This one may be mine, but I don't know.
And maybe after subsequent viewings, I might like it more. Like, Like, nah, there's not a drop in quality across any of them.
For me, it's this weird contradiction of they're all different stories. They're not all told exactly the same way, and yet it all feels like one big thing to me right now.
Mm-hmm. No, these movies are incredible. Like, nothing else is doing anything like this, and it's great. There are a lot of movies trying to do something like this. I keep seeing trailers for those movies.
Yes.
But nothing else is doing this.
It seems like we're getting like 5 female John Wicks this year.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them will be great. I don't know, but
no, it's just these. This is what I want from my movies. Like, it's great. So, like, I'll say the thing that Shane Black said when The Nice Guys came out, but about Endgame instead of Civil War. Go see Endgame like 5 times. But on your 6th time, instead of seeing Endgame, go see John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum.
That's really funny.
But yeah, I loved it. It was amazing. When this was probably the movie I was most excited for this year. Godzilla's weird because it's so easy for a Godzilla movie to be awful. Like,
You want to be excited.
I'm tentatively excited because I want it to be good, but I also know it's very easy for that movie to not be good.
Well, in John Wick, you had every reason to expect to walk in and get the exact experience you got. So,
but then I didn't get the exact experience I thought I was going to get.
You figured you'd like it. You liked
it.
it.
No, it's going to be hard pressed for this to not be my favorite movie of the year.
I was going to ask you if so far it was.
It's definitely my favorite.
So far, it's mine or it's tied because I did like Endgame a lot, but I don't know that I've seen anything, especially story-wise, that's better than this. So far.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other things we've seen.
I haven't seen a ton this year.
It's the best movie Ian McShane was in this year.
Has he been in other things?
Well, he's Professor Broom in Hellboy.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So it's not a high bar.
So that was rough. Yeah. Well, anyway, anything else you wanted to make sure that we mentioned?
No, just go see this movie. Like,
so
I want 15 of these. And I legitimately believe they could do 15 and not drop in quality.
I also think they could just take it to TV, and it would be just
well, there is supposed to be a TV show.
I know, but I'm just saying if that's all they did, I think it would be good.
Yeah.
But, again, not to give too much away, this being as long as it is, that we could have just straight up done a spoiler cast. I didn't expect this to be 40 minutes, where we would have. I didn't expect to have so much fun talking about this, or I would have gone to spoiler cast.
We did pretty good about not spoiling, I think.
We did, isn't that crazy? But that was hard, actually. But, anyway, but after seeing where the status quo went with this, I don't see how the Continental could be anything but a prequel show.
I disagree.
Oh, well, interesting.
Because the rest of the world's still functioning normally.
Well, are we assuming that it's in a different Continental?
Yeah.
Oh, I figured it would just be that one.
I assume if it's not a prequel, it's in a different Continental.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Just set something else in this universe.
See, it would be fun if it was in different Continentals and they all looked exactly the same, but we saw another one in this one and it doesn't look the same, so I guess we can't do that. But that would be really funny if you had a standing set, but you just, like, every week said it was in a different place.
Yep.
Anyway. Well, thanks a lot for watching, folks, and leave your comments. Let us know if you liked John Wick Chapter 3, and we are going to see you again next week with lots more content here on Geekvolution.
Don't let us know if you didn't like it. I just don't want to hear that. I just don't need that in my life.
Eric doesn't have to read your comments, okay? So you can say whatever you want in the comments. Anyway,
I would be fascinated to know. Well, because this is one of those movies that I feel like if somebody didn't like it, they just didn't like it, right? Like, it's not like this movie went too far or these are the issues. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's not for me. Like, I didn't. Every time I say this, there's 1,000 comments. I'm always proved wrong. I shouldn't say things like that.
But I would be fascinated to see the this movie was terrible and here's why argument. I would be interested to see that argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine someone who liked the first two didn't like this one.
Right. Yeah.
Which
too far in some way.
Which I guess is the traditional like movie box.
We might see somebody say Halle Berry was terrible. You might see that. You might see someone who doesn't agree with us on that.
That's fine, but then they also have to think she's terrible and everything else, I would assume.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think we are a million years past the Keanu Reeves can't act thing. I think we're past that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
See you next time.